Right now on Denver 7 News at 5 o'clock on Local 3, billions across the world are watching the final farewell to the longest reigning monarch the UK has ever seen. Today, momentous funeral processions for Queen Elizabeth II.
And here in Colorado, Aurora is considering taking action today in response to the outcry over Elijah McClain's death by pushing to ban these drugs from use.
And victims of an apartment explosion are now finally able to collect their belongings after being shut out of their homes for days. What they're finding, though, as they return.
Plus, your Denver Broncos bringing home a win at Empower Field last night. The analysis from yesterday's first home game and what it could mean for the rest of the team season, Brian.
So many moments where you're like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
A lot of head scratching, but they got the win.
They got that W.
They lived to fight another day. Thanks for joining us on this Monday morning. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Micah Smith. And we are starting this week with some beautiful weather. The weekend was beautiful. Katie, hopefully this is the trend for the whole week.
No, it's not,
Okay.
unfortunately. But for the next 2 days, it will be with sunshine and warmth. This morning, we're starting off under a clear sky here in Denver. Dry conditions across the state. A little more cloud coverage south of Pueblo and over the far eastern plains early on, but that'll clear out. And we're expecting mostly sunny skies for the rest of the day. Temperatures today will top out in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees, at least 10 degrees above average for this time of the year. Our next very powerful cold front is set to arrive on Wednesday. Fall will officially begin on Thursday, and it'll really feel like it with temperatures only in the 60s for highs expected. This morning, though, we're waking up to 50s across the metro area, high 30s, low 40s into the mountains. Mostly clear skies, low 80s by lunchtime, some gusty winds at times over higher terrain. Partly cloudy this afternoon and evening, and then we'll clear out. Tomorrow, Jason, there's that one more warm day, but then rain is on the way.
And fall has arrived in the studio. It's a little chilly in here. Right now, we have a good drive on Highway 36. You can see it on the westbound side here at Sheridan. Take a look at the drive on I-70 out to the east side of town. No lingering construction for us as you folks will be heading from here, Quebec on over to Pena Boulevard, and the drive to or from the airport looks good. And you can see the overall drive times look pretty nice too. Had some leftover construction, a little bit of the paving out to the west side of town, but no big issues for you here off or on the highways as you make your way out and about.
Well, it is a solemn, historic day in London today as the city hosts the funeral for Queen Elizabeth II. As you hear the Queen's piper playing a lament there, they also held a 2-minute national moment of silence along with UK's national anthem. As the ceremony is just wrapping up, hundreds of world leaders are in attendance at Westminster Abbey today for what's expected to be one of the most watched live television events ever.
Yeah, and this public ceremony marks the end of a 12-day farewell in the UK to the country's longest reigning monarch. Both President Biden and the First Lady are in attendance, in addition to Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelenska. 1 million people are estimated to be filling the streets of London to catch a glimpse of the funeral procession. Some have camped out for days.
I'm a huge history buff. The traditions have been in place in this country for hundreds and hundreds of years before our U.S. was created.
So as the public funeral prepares to end here in just a few moments, the Queen will be transferred in a procession from Westminster Abbey to St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, and that will be her final resting place. She will be buried next to her late husband, Prince Philip.
The death of Elijah McClain forever changed Colorado and the country when he was detained and injected with ketamine, a strong sedative.
Now the city of Aurora is considering banning paramedics from using any chemical sedative again. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is live with this move to potentially do away with these powerful drugs.
Aurora Councilmember Curtis Gardner says sedatives have no place in the hands of Aurora paramedics, and that's exactly why he's introducing this ban on sedatives during a study session today. So the resolution that he's going to go ahead and introduce would effectively ban sedatives for at least the next 3 years. This is beyond what's already being used as of December 31st of last year. So this means that if this resolution is passed, Aurora's city manager would have to then go and have Aurora Fire Rescue refrain from adding any new sedatives to its emergency medical services protocol for that 3-year period. So this does come after the medical director who oversees AFR's program said just last month he'd be introducing a different sedative that's called droperidol to paramedics kits. That's a fast-acting sedative that works as a tranquilizer. It would be used in situations when ketamine was used before it was banned. And Gardner told Denver 7 he has multiple concerns about these sedatives in Aurora. One of those stemmed from the death of Elijah McClain.
I think first, concerns about civil liberties, about injecting a sedative into somebody without their permission. But I think the bigger issue I have is we have firefighters currently indicted for murder charges for administering a sedative, ketamine, that was previously in our medical protocols. And I just don't understand why we would take the risk of introducing an additional sedative while those charges are still pending.
So this resolution is being introduced before the full city council meeting that's on September 26th. We know that if this resolution is passed, then it would effectively ban sedatives immediately. And of course, we'll keep you updated on how this goes. We're live in Aurora this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Thank you, Veronica. A heartbreaking loss for an Arvada family after a child died while riding an electric scooter. Investigators say a car collided with the scooter Saturday night on Candelas Parkway near the Indiana Street intersection. That driver stayed at the scene. Police have not identified the child. Right now, no charges have been filed. The Boulder County Coroner's Office says it's still waiting to positively ID the 3 people who died in a mid-air plane crash Saturday morning. The crash happened right behind Sean Tuff's Longmont home. And while he's used to hearing and seeing planes fly by often, seeing 2 crash into each other Saturday morning was scary, to say the least.
Obviously, one landing in your yard's a little shocking, though. It didn't look like it was falling or tumbling. It looked like it was in just a free fall. It was a little bit of corkscrew, but it looked like it was okay to fly. There was no wings missing or anything like that. Yeah, it just went straight in the earth.
Yesterday, crews carefully picked up the pieces of what was left of one of those planes. The area is still closed off by police tape. The NTSB is still investigating what caused the collision.
We also have a sad update to a story we brought you last week. A grandmother attacked by 2 pit bulls in Golden has died. Police say the dogs belong to the family. The 89-year-old woman and her 12-year-old grandson were attacked Wednesday in their own backyard. The boy is in stable condition. Investigators say one dog was euthanized. The other is at a local animal shelter. Well, mudslides are a major concern in Puerto Rico as floodwaters continue to rise from Hurricane Fiona. The power is out across the island, so it's hard for locals to see even what's coming. Millions are stuck scrambling, though, trying to prevent the disaster that followed Hurricane Maria 5 years ago. The main part of Fiona is moving on to the Dominican Republic, but the rain keeps falling over Puerto Rico, causing catastrophic flooding there. According to the National Hurricane Center, its acting director says he's not sure he's ever seen rivers rise this quickly in the country.
Water will rise in the order of minutes and hours and can just take you completely off guard.
The National Hurricane Center says parts of Puerto Rico could see up to 30 inches of rain by the time the storm is over. The island is marking the 5-year anniversary of Hurricane Maria tomorrow, which killed more than 3,000 people and cost nearly $92 billion in damage.
All right, it's time to take a live look now at Empower Field at Mile High. It's all quiet there this morning, but yesterday, Broncos country packed the stands for Russell Wilson's first home game.
It's all quiet, but it's not all good this morning. It was not pretty, even though the Broncos did get a win, Russell Wilson's first win as a Bronco. But the team has a lot of work to do if they want to make it to the playoffs. So here's Denver 7 Broncos insider Troy Rank to break it down.
The Broncos need not apologize for their first win of the season, but man, this was more graffiti than Da Vinci. No Broncos team has ever been penalized as many as 25 times in back-to-back games. They have done that. No team since 2010 has reached the red zone 6 times in its first 2 games and not scored a touchdown. The Broncos own that distinction. They are starting to look for the positives while knowing they must improve greatly.
I'm excited because we were able to win a tough game like today, and you need those kind of games because down the road, when it's a playoff game or when it's late in the season and everything else, and you need that game, you have something to go back to.
We got to be better with our time management, clock management. I know we need to get out of the huddle quicker as an O-line and get to the ball. I could go over a lot more things, but I think that there's good and bad to take away, but it's really hard to win in this league, so I'm super amped up about the win.
The defense deserves credit. Even without Justin Simmons, the secondary played well, and the pressure from Bradley Chubb, Randy Gregory, and Draymond Jones these first 2 weeks has been impressive. But Coach Nathaniel Hackett, he needs to look in the mirror, find self-awareness, because he has got to clean up the game day operation and the play calling if this team is going to be a contender this season. Reporting from the stadium, Troy Rank, Denver 7.
Also today, we hope to get updates on a couple superstars, Jerry Jeudy and Patrick Surtain. Jeudy injured his ribs in the game, hitting the turf after catching a pass. Surtain came to the bench midway through the second quarter, favoring his left shoulder. He was ruled out at halftime and will undergo an MRI today.
Well, for weeks, Broncos gear has been flying off the shelves, and now the team is partnering with a local clothing brand to release a new line of merchandise for fans. The Broncos are working with the brand Be a Good Person. Both organizations say their relationship is a testament to their shared community values and service. The official release of their 7 unique co-branded pieces of clothing started Friday.
We've actually been working on this project for almost 2 years now. This has been in the making for a while. It's our first official NFL Denver Broncos collab.
Dozens showed up at the Rhino location Friday. The gear is also being sold at the Broncos store at Empower Field. Katie?
Well, it was a toasty one for the Broncos game yesterday, especially in the stands if you were on the east side of the stadium with the sun bearing down. It's going to be a pretty similar weather pattern for today. Mostly sunny skies and daytime highs around 10 degrees above average, nearing 90 downtown. But we do have some much cooler weather arriving by the middle of the week.
And right now, if you want a little bit more cool weather, you can head out to the far west. And right now, the drive out here on C470 looks fine. But if you head on up 285, you're heading up I-70, that all looks okay as well. So not seeing any problems just yet citywide. Nice quiet start here to the morning commute.
Teenagers today are now using TikTok to search for information like we use Google. How this is impacting what Gen Z learns.
More migrants were sent north over the weekend, landing at the United States southern borders and then being sent to places like Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C. How human rights activists want to hold state leaders accountable for that move.